Hey, this is Brian Wright with the Daily Bee, and today I just want to talk about being grounded in the work. There's so many things that come up where we get distracted by ideas that the outside world's throwing at us. So again, it's that social megaphone. It could be a positive or negative person. Someone's giving us a distorted view of who we are. So when we are listening to our gut, or what we call our inner voice, we may not actually be listening to ourselves. We're listening to the influence of other people. So we're basing this voice off of a collective soundboard of everything that's going on around us, or we're challenging ourselves in a way that allows us to listen to actually who we are on a daily basis. And that's the work part. That's the challenge part. To do the work, it doesn't mean necessarily go and run. If you're an athlete and you want to know where you are, you have to do whatever sport it is you do. You have to do tests of all the different skills that it takes. If you're, if you're a non-athlete, whatever, you can do that. You can push yourself physically to know where you are. But to also know where the voice is coming from, you've got to challenge yourself as well. I have a book, I call it the Demon Book, where I literally write every day and I challenge my demons. I call them the demons of doubt. We all have those moments where we have opportunity and we see where our instincts are going. Sometimes our insides are telling us don't do it. Sometimes it's telling us to do it. It fluctuates. So I write through a lot of what's going on so I can kind of figure out, what's the root of these thoughts. Am I really feeling good about something? Am I really feeling bad about something? Or am I just regurgitating something that was said to me at some point along the way and it's just connecting with this thing? So that's the dealing with the demons of doubt. We all have the opportunity to take on these thoughts. We all have the opportunity to be analytical about ourselves and how we process the world. One thing you got to get clear is that the world's not doing anything to us. The world is doing what the world does. It's how we translate the world that ends up being the effect upon us. So we do everything to ourselves. Everything comes to us, we process it, and how it comes out the other side is really our choice. It's our choice to deal with it the way we deal with it. It's our choice to come up with the coping skills. It's our choice to embrace the positive, to be analytical enough to see the negative and to work through it, to pull the people around us that are going to get us where we want to go, to eject the people that are getting in the way. And when I say getting in the way, it's not people that are just, stepping stones for your success, saying that don't use good people to get where you want to go. But if there are negative people that are holding you back, that it's baggage that you're carrying, these are people that you have to say, I'm sorry, but you're not living in a way that is, parallel to me. It's not helping me, not in a selfish way, but from a pure survival, maximizing myself, being authentic kind of way. So you'll find that the more authentic you are, the more positive you are, the better things are going for you. You'll find that there are certain people in your life that will consistently try and derail you from this success. And these are the people that you have to let go of. It could be friends, it could be family, it could be a spouse, it could be boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever. A lot of times the relationships that we have are built upon negative foundations, and that's why we find ourselves in these negative cycles over and over and over again. A lot of people that I work with, that when they get to a better place, they find that the partner in life they have is someone that the partnership was staying in a comfort zone of negativity. It was that they made a commitment to stay in this bad place because it's what they knew, it's what brought them together, it's what created what has become comfortable for them. So in a lot of ways, a bad thing, a negative thing, is the safe and comfortable place. It sounds crazy, but for most of us, we have a negative something that we hold on to. It's because what we know. And the fear of letting go of it and getting something else, that holds us back. So we have something that we know is not really good, but we don't know what this next thing is. It could be worse, it could be better, we don't know, so we just hold on to where we are. And that's when you end up in this just coast life. And you're not making progress, you're not falling backwards, you're just coasting in that middle zone. For me, the middle zone, that's mediocrity. The one thing I never want to do is fight with myself to accept mediocrity. I want the battle to be, what have I done today to make myself better? What have I done to be progressive about this day? How am I moving forward? Am I stuck in the same place over and over and over? If I am, that means there's a hurdle. there's something that I have to analyze and figure out and get past. Most times, it's just a lack of belief in our ability to move forward, or fear of our ability of being able to take on the challenges that are coming in a way that's going to further us. So I wrote about this morning, I wrote about a fight I had back in 1999. I fought in the World Sabaki Challenge in Denver, Colorado. It's a bare knuckle full contact karate tournament, and it was something I always wanted to do. A friend of mine had fought in it. It was just, I bought all the videos, I watched it. It was just a big thing for me. It was a huge test for me at that time. And I trained completely wrong for it. I had a strength and conditioning coach who was a former NFL player, and he trained me to be a football player, not to be a fighter. The endurance you need for football is way different than the endurance that you need for fighting. I didn't have a lot of sparring partners. I wasn't sparring a lot. I didn't have people that could hold pads for me, a lot of things. I was just doing the best I could with the options that I had. So I trained extremely hard. I really did push myself, but within a system that didn't get the result I needed to fight in Denver, which is mile high. So I go into this fight. My body, I'm super strong, but I have no cardio, so I gas hard. I need oxygen because my body is a little bit bigger. I'm really strong, but there's no air, and I'm dying. And I'll never forget, the referee turns and he says, 30 seconds. And I'm like, holy shit, 30 seconds. Now, 30 seconds is not a lot of time, but at that particular moment, it felt like the guy told me that I have 30 years left to continue fighting. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do this one more second, let alone 30. But then, bang, I get mad. I get mad at myself. I'm mad at myself for having that doubt that I can't do the 30 seconds. Then I also get mad at myself and I say, I just trained all this time to get ready for this event. Right, wrong, or indifferent, I did the work. It's exactly where I want to be, so I need to go for it. And that's what I call the question. Every one of us, when we do something hard, we get to a point where we have to make a decision on how we're going to go forward. We're either going to coast and kind of see what happens. We could win, we could lose, we could create something, we could not. We don't know, but we really don't care. We're just going to coast. We can quit. And when I say quit, I mean literally we start looking for a way out in a way that we can kind of save face, like an excuse-driven out. How do we fabricate something that allows us to quit and not look stupid to our friends, but leaves that hole in us late at night? Then there's the other solution, which is kill. And when I say kill, I mean go for it. Put everything you've got into it with all the intention you have in the world to win, to finish, to get it done, to take it out of the judge's hands, to let people have zero doubt, and make that commitment. So when I say answer the question, you have to decide, are you going to coast, you're going to quit, or you're going to kill? Now, in 1999, in this experience, I had never been in an event like this. I'd never been in a situation like this. Referee says 30 seconds left. This couple minutes I'm talking now, it's like time slowed down, and I went through this massive argument in my brain. It was probably a split second, but for me, it just, everything slowed down. I got mad at myself. The question came about, and then I decided, what do I have to do? And then, bam, I answered it, and I went nuts. For 30 seconds, I threw every single thing I had at this guy. I didn't have enough to win, but I did everything I could to win. And instead of looking for a way out, instead of looking to just say, I did it, which would have been coasting, or try to figure out a way to quit, which would have just given the guy the win, but I would have tried to save face. But instead, I actually did everything I could to win. And when I stepped out of there, I knew I did everything I could. So I lost on paper, but I didn't lose, because I wasn't beaten, I wasn't broken, I didn't have enough time. I could have kept going, I could have kept driving, because I made that commitment. I was going to die before I gave up. Now on the flip side of that, when it was over, and I did step out, I blacked out, and I woke up with an oxygen mask on, and they were contemplating taking me to the hospital because I pushed so hard, I really did almost die. I went too far. I went so far that my system started to shut down. But then when I started to get oxygen, I started to come back. But it was one of the most painful experiences I ever had. The funny part about it is that's one of my first full contact fights where I really got pushed on an international scale. Then in my last fight, almost 20 years later, when I'm 40 years old, I was horribly undertrained. My son's not even one. My son just turned one, and full-time job, training guys with big fights coming up. I squeezed my training into a 5-week. I hadn't fought for a couple of years. Trained for like 5 weeks. No excuses. I did the best I could, what I had, and I had all the intention of going out there and killing this guy. But it was like I fought a guy in his 20s with a lot of fights, and he had 19 fights in the last year and a half, and I hadn't fought in 4. It was crazy. Went out there, threw everything I had at him, gassed horrible, and I had like 2.5 rounds where I was pretty much in that death space that I fought for 30 seconds when I was younger. I had to bang about 2.5 rounds out that way. The difference was, at 40, it was kind of like almost an internal laughter, because I said, oh my God, here we go again. And I was happy to go back there because my career came full circle. So I have day 1, and then I have the last day. It all merges into one kind of experience where I do it with inexperience, and I have this argument. Then I go into it with extreme confidence, and I go through it again with no doubt whatsoever. And I just got to see my life as a prize fighter in its totality through that. And in a lot of ways it exercised the demons that I had in me that made me wonder if I can continue to do this, if I still had a fight career left or whatever. And I realized exactly who I was, where I was, and what I could possibly do. And I was able to bury my competitive career. But on the other side, which goes back to the beginning of what I was talking about, is that because I challenged myself that hard, to this day, I have no doubt that I'm capable of enduring a tremendous amount of pain if necessary to achieve whatever result it is that I want to achieve. So if I set my mind to do something and I really commit myself to it, I'm willing to go, and I'm willing to risk my death in that effort. That's more, it's more figurative than it is literal, but I'm just saying I have no quit in me when it comes to achieving the things I want to do. And the only reason I can say this is because I've actually put myself in a position where I've done everything I can to break myself or make myself quit, and I've always kept going. And the only reason I keep going is because of the momentum of doing it time and time again, challenging myself over and over and over. So the confidence that I have, the understanding that I have, it's not from reading a book, it's not from watching a video, it's not from making a video, it's from doing the work. It's taking all of that work, then analyzing myself, identifying the things that I have inside of me, the experience that I've had. Make sure that the voices I have are me yelling at me. If you go hard enough and you burn because you're driving forward so hard and that engine's just on overdrive, all the negativity goes away. All the bullshit you've ever been told in your life goes away. And all you have is you and your effort. And that's when you really see who you are. And that's what gives you the ability to take the next step in a more authentic and an honest way. So challenge yourself. If you're a writer, write. Write until you can't come up with any more words because your fingers are dead from typing, or your hands cramped because you can't hold the pencil or pen any longer. If you're a painter, paint. Paint until there's no more paint left in the world. If you're a singer, sing until your voice box shuts down. If you're a fighter, fight. Take on the hardest challenges you can find and go after everything you can and make it yours. There was a great fighter who passed away named Hiroki Kurosawa. He was a heavyweight fighter, but he was only like 5'7". And he was a Japanese dude, came out of Kyokushin Karate. And he said that, I'm paraphrasing because I can't really remember it clearly. It was along the lines of, taking the fight you know you could win doesn't mean anything. Taking the fight that everyone thinks you can lose and you have doubts about, but you still take it and you go for it. That's what winning is. It's taking on the hard challenge. It's taking on the guy that everybody says, oof, watch out. It's not staying safe. It's going for it. That's how you leave your mark. That's how you do great things. That's how you really find out who you are. Because if you want to tell the world you're this great thing, you actually have to go out and do great things. If you want to tell the world that you're better than the status that it's put you in, you have to do things above your status. You could talk all day long, but it's what you're willing to get your hands dirty doing that's going to define it all. So that's my message. And talking about this, my final here is, tomorrow I'm hopping on a plane to go to Brazil to work with one of my athletes, Carl Roberson, who's fighting at UFC 224. His career is the prime example of everything I'm talking about here, which I'll go into deeper on another time. But this is a guy who came from pretty much nowhere, with nothing. And in 6 years, fought in a mountaintop in Saint-Tropez against a guy with over 100 fights in his pro debut. He was a main card glory fighter. Hard injury that put him out for almost a year, and then with 2 or 3 fights made it to the UFC. Is currently an undefeated fighter, going into I believe it's his 6th or 7th bout, and he's taking on a guy that's 15-6, and a Ultimate Fighter winner, and we don't care because we're battle tested. We've jumped the line every time. We've taken on the big challenges, and it's nothing new. Carl does great things. Carl allows me to be a part of a great journey because I took the risk of going for it with him. He's taken the risk in his career going for it against the best. And so we have this amazing partnership where we get to do things like go to Brazil. So it's not just about you. It's about the people that you surround yourself with. It's about the opportunities that you work on with the community of people that you have. So don't just focus on yourself, but focus on the people around you and work together to create as many great things as possible. So this is Brian Wright. This is the Daily B. I'm out.